So Hare Krishna, everybody. So welcome back again. So I hope that we were able to think a little. I don't know, very busy days, but if we had time to reflect and try to think and digest all that we have heard for the 18 days. So probably there might be some questions or anything that we would like to clarify. And it might be also helpful to go through the entire Bhagavad Gita very quickly uh, to see the connection and the summary of each chapter. So it might help us to remember back as we are looking through. So that's why we are having this supplementary session. Because some of you also had some questions you sent me through WhatsApp. So I thought it's nice if I can just address all them over here. So we will begin. Dedicated to His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, founder Acharya of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Salakaya Chakshur Militam Yena Tasmai Sri Guruve Namaha. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vigna Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Sri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Jai Sri Sri Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Mai Sri Srinitaya Sundar Gaura Hari. Nama Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vigna Vinasha Narasimhaiti Namine. Nama Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langai Tim Girim Yatkripa Tamaham Vande Sri Guru Dinatarinam Paramananda Madhavam Sri Chaitanya Vishwaram Tatsat. So, just looking through at the Bhagavad Gita that we have finished the 18 chapters already. So, as I have mentioned previously, we can look at Bhagavad Gita for looking at the first 6 chapters. We have 18 chapters, so we can divide it by 666. That's one way of looking at it. So, in the first chapter, Arjuna Vishada Yoga, this is where Arjuna is put into lamentation or illusion so that the Bhagavad Gita can be spoken. So the setting of the scene was discussed, and then how Arjuna gave his reasons for not fighting, and then the signs of victory, that was also discussed. And then there were 5, remember, C says D, CESDI, right? Compassion, no enjoyment, sin, destruction of family and tradition, and finally indecision. So these were some of the excuses Arjuna gave. And after that, Krishna was listening. And then in chapter 2, this is entitled Sankhya Yoga. Arjuna continues to give his reasons, and finally he surrenders to Krishna. When Krishna tells him, how have these impurities come on you, right? He doesn't accept Arjuna's reasons, and he calls them unaryam, not fitting as a learned person or one who knows the ultimate truth. And then Arjuna says, but I cannot do this. I don't know. I'm very confused. I know this is difficult, but at the same time, I know they are wrong. What to do? So then then Arjuna does the first important thing. He surrenders to Krishna. He accepts. Number one, he understands that he is confused. Number two, he understands that this is what Krishna said is true. It is due to weakness of the heart. But, out of sentiment, he just couldn't. So therefore, he surrenders to the Supreme Lord and accepts him as his guru and asks him to instruct him, to tell me for certain what's best for me. Right? Remember that verse, Karpanya dosho pahata svabhavaha So, and then Krishna accepts his surrender, and he begins to, first of all, talk about the basis of all spiritual understanding. The basis is because Arjuna was worried about sin, he was worried about killing. So then Krishna, first of all, set that the basic foundation correct. You are not the body, you are the soul, and the soul cannot be killed. So we heard about how Krishna told Arjuna the various aspects of the soul. The soul is eternal, right? And then he says, never was there a time that you nor I nor all these kings have not existed, neither will we cease to exist in the future. We have always existed, we will always remain also individuals in the future. So he establishes clearly that number one, the soul is eternal. He is without beginning, and he does not have an end. And his individuality is also eternal. He doesn't lose his individuality at any time. And then Krishna goes on to say how the soul is not affected by matter. So here we understood the differentiation between matter and spirit. So the soul is spirit, and it cannot be in any way affected by matter. So all your weapons, all the fire, earth, water, air, ether, all this cannot affect the soul. So this is the basis of the understanding for spiritual knowledge. Without this understanding of the soul, there's no reason to go on to understand spiritual knowledge, because then people will think this body is the only thing I will enjoy all my life, and then when I die, everything is finished. So we have to first understand this point. So Krishna talks about Sankhya Yoga, the science of understanding the difference between matter and spirit. And then in this way, while he's explaining, then he also answers the other questions Arjuna had. Arjuna had other reasons, right? The reason of compassion, the reason of sin. So Krishna makes it very clear. You need to have compassion for the right thing. Compassion is very, very good. But there is compassion for the body and compassion for the soul. So he gives example like, just like how we wear clothes. So the clothes we wear, if something happens to the clothes, we should not be overly disturbed about it in the execution of our duties. So in the same way, in the execution of dharma, one should not be disturbed about the body. The body is important, yes, but there is something higher than the body also. There is dharma. One's duty, one's eternal righteous duty cannot be obstructed because of bodily concerns. So then we also talked about the example of the cage. So the body is like the cage, and the soul is like the bird. So in most people in this world, they do not understand about the soul, so they are busy taking care of the body. So materialistic conception, everybody is working very hard to keep the cage beautiful and golden, and nobody gives food for the soul. So the food for the soul is chanting Hare Krishna. So that is what we discussed in chapter 2. After that, Krishna starts telling Arjuna, but you should do your duty. If you don't do your duty, only you will get sin. If you do your righteous duty as a Kshatriya and kill all these demonic people for the sake of upholding dharma, then you will actually get pious credits. You'll get punya. But if you don't do, for various reasons that you have, that you will get sin, because people are expecting you to do it. If you don't uphold dharma, then who will? So then what will happen to the world? So therefore, he talks like that. He speaks about karma kanda. So you get something out of it. So he defeats all these excuses. Then Krishna goes on to say that actually there is a higher purpose. There is something even higher than simply sin and piety. There is something called liberation, trying to go beyond life and death. So this is like a journey for us. So in the beginning, before we started Bhagavad Gita, we may not have thought of many concepts or many questions in life. Or if we have thought of them, we may not have had the, we may not have had the answers to certain questions that we may have had, right? So, or even if we had those answers, we may not have verification. We need to know that our answers are correct based on what the Lord says. So the Bhagavad Gita gives these indications. So it's like we are going on a journey, and when we are beginning the journey, it's like all dark. This is like outer space. We are going for an exploration of outer space. We want to understand what is the supreme. Questions like, who am I? Questions like, why am I here? Questions like, what is the purpose of my life? What is the destiny of my life? Why am I suffering in this world? Why enjoyment and suffering comes and goes? So, and what should I do? How do I focus my life towards what goal? And all these questions. And is there a God? Who is the Supreme Lord? So these questions were all there in our mind, and we are now going on an exploration on this Bhagavad Gita journey. So before we start any kind of exploration, or before we start any kind of journey, so this is like the journey, right? We need a compass. We need to know what is the direction, what is the ultimate goal, which direction should we go? Should we go down? Should we go left? Right? Which direction will bring us to the ultimate place? So this is like, there are many people who will say all kinds of things. Some people will say, everything is one. You are the same as me. I am you, you are me, you are Narayana, Narayana is you, everybody is Narayana. So then there are some people who talk like that. So these kind of people are called the Mayavadis. So, and then there are some people who will say there is no God, that everything is, it's just the universe and energy, and then, but they cannot explain how the universe came to being or things like that. And so there are different opinions and different understandings. So so in the same way, the compass is needed to guide us in to navigate the different directions to go right to the objective. So therefore, Krishna begins this. The first 6 chapters is like the compass. It gives us the direction in life, what to do, how to go. The immediate questions are answered. So therefore, from chapter 1, Krishna says, do your duty, right? You are not killing the soul. The sin is if you are not doing your duty. So this we have understood already. So then from chapter 2, he goes on to the next point. From Sankhya Yoga, he goes beyond to Karma Yoga. He says, what is this something higher? You need to do your work. If you don't do your work, you'll get sin. If you do your work correctly, you will get punya. You'll go to heaven, you'll enjoy. And if you don't do, you'll get sin, and then you'll go to hell, you'll have suffering, people will make fun of you. So then he says there's something higher than that. Don't worry about gain, don't worry about loss. Don't worry about victory, don't worry about defeat. Do your duty as a Kshatriya for the sake of duty alone. So this is a new concept. So therefore, Arjuna then is thinking, oh, this is something new. What should I do? So then Krishna elaborates further. He talks about this art of working, how to work without having any sin, how to work without attachment, so that at the end of this, we will get a higher understanding, which is yoga. So here he begins karma yoga, the art of work. And at the end of this chapter, he will say there is also something higher than this. So karma yoga, eventually, by performing activities like this, we will begin to understand that there is a higher purpose of life. And that higher purpose of life is called jnana. So the connection here is jnana, the karma yoga, the art of performing work, equipoised, equally balanced in both happiness and distress, not worried about happiness or distress or gain or loss. One eventually comes to the level of jnana or knowledge. So what kind of knowledge is this? Knowledge to understand that there is something higher, that there is something beyond just life and death. Continuous, there's something beyond happiness and distress in this material world. So a person who is determined and steady in this yoga practice, he will understand this knowledge is higher. And by understanding this knowledge, he will come to know there is a difference between Atma and Prakriti, matter, spirit and matter. And in this way, he will then understand there is something called the Brahman, which is the realization of God, that God is eternal, that we are also eternal, and we are part and parcel of that eternal Brahman. So that is the goal of Jnana Yoga. But while all this is happening, in each of these chapters, from chapter 2 to chapter 3 to chapter 4, while talking about the Sankhya, the Karma, the Jnana, at the end, Krishna will always indicate that, yes, art of duty is very good. Doing work without expectation is good. But even better is to, if you do it for me, for my sake. So in the beginning, he gives this kind of hints. And then while the doing work without expectation leads one to knowledge, then again Krishna will say from the knowledge platform also, this also will eventually lead to understanding me. In chapter 4, we heard where Krishna begins to reveal himself as the ultimate goal of everything, ultimate source of everything. He says the verse, right? Janma karma chami divyam, Janma karma chami divyam, Janma karma chami divyam. It's not coming into my mind now. Janma karma chami divyam. It's just not coming to my mind. Okay, anyway, he said, my activities, janma and karma, both of them, my activities and my birth are divyam, transcendental. And these two activities, just by knowing this, one can actually ultimately attain the supreme. So he begins to reveal his supreme position. And that was at the understanding of Jnana Yoga. He begins to explain to Arjuna, the goal of this knowledge is ultimately to understand me only, Arjuna. This is the ultimate goal. So then further, he moves on to the next level. So one who is a karma yogi, he will elevate himself to Jnana Yoga. And then from Jnana Yoga, if he doesn't understand that the goal of the Supreme is Krishna, because from Jnana Yoga, one can attain Brahman, but one does not understand Krishna as the Supreme, because Krishna can only be understood through bhakti. They cannot understand the Supreme Lord through karma, jnana, or buddhi. They have to eventually come to the path of bhakti. Then only they can be revealed who is the Supreme Lord and what are his qualities and everything. So in each of these stages, Krishna will give hints, right? From jnana, you have to understand that the ultimate is me. But there are people who may not understand, or there are people who don't want to accept this. So Krishna still gives them further purification. Because from jnana, one is already achieving Brahman. So he is already in the eternal platform. But even higher than Brahman, there's one more stage. So from Jnana Yoga, it progresses to Buddhi Yoga. So here, Krishna is putting the gap. This is the bridge. So now Krishna is telling Arjuna, don't take the Jnana path. This is all the Jnana path. So now bridge over and come to Bhakti. So this bridging is called the Buddhi Yoga, chapter 5. Yoga of intelligence. It's ultimately to tell Arjuna, yes, both paths are good. The path of Jnana is also good, but the path of Bhakti is also good, but the path of Bhakti is easier and it's better, and you will reach the higher destination. So that, because it starts with this question, Arjuna will ask this question. First you tell me to fight, and then you tell me knowledge is better than activities. So now I'm confused. So therefore, to that answer only, Krishna will tell, both also are correct, both also are fine, but there is a danger. If one renounces activities and goes to the forest, he is going to, because he's not purified yet. So there's a danger and it's difficult. So better you, instead of renouncing activity, you do the activity for me. So this is better than even doing it for duty. So this is the chapter 5 where Krishna bridges the gap between jnana path and the bhakti path. So he's trying to tell Arjuna, better you come to the bhakti path. Don't follow this direction. These are for other people. You are my devotee. So for a devotee, there is a VIP route. So take the bhakti VIP route. So then Krishna further continues to chapter 6. Because there are some people, he wants to complete this other path. He wants to complete the discussion on the jnana path. So he says, if people still don't understand that I am the ultimate, then those people still have a way to understand. They can still go to the dhyana path, even harder. So the dhyana path is where people perform meditation and the rules of meditation were discussed very clearly. And it's not easy. You have to go to a secluded place. You have to, focus on the mind. And we remember the 8 steps. It's called Ashtanga Yoga. Ashta Anga, 8 limbs. There's the do's and the don'ts. One should be celibate. One should be avoid everybody and go to the forest. So all these are the do's and don'ts, and how one should sit, prepare the seat, how one should meditate. Before meditating, one should do yoga. What do you call that? Asana. Asana means exercises. The different asanas, so that one can condition the body so that the body can sit for a long time. And then after that, there is pranayama, controlling the breath. And then in this way, one steadies the mind. So preparing is like a wavering flame. Our mind is like a wavering flame in a lot of wind. So by controlling our breath, we are able to control the mind a little. So we come to that level where we are steadying the mind, and then there is pratyahara, dharana, concentration, and then after concentration, then only comes dhyana. So then it's very difficult. So but people who are able to do this, they are able to understand the Paramatma, the source of the Brahman. They are able to glimpse the source of the Brahman as Paramatma. At this point, because they are able to see the form of the Lord, because in Jnana Yoga, the Jnana Yogi who attains Brahman doesn't see the form of the Lord. He sees only light, and that light is Brahman. But the Dhyana Yogi who is higher, he is able to see the source of that light. We gave example just like the sunshine, the sun, and the deity of the sun, right? So in this way, the Jnana Yogi is able to see the form. And when he sees the form, he realizes, oh my goodness, there is a personality. There is an ultimate person. What am I doing? I should try to understand who this ultimate person is. I should try to see if I can serve him in any way. So in this way, from Dhyana Yoga, the person can eventually come to Bhakti. So one can either take the difficult path of this karma, jnana, and dhyana and come to Krishna, eventually come to Bhakti. Or one can take the VIP route, where directly one engages in Bhakti Yoga, and then slowly one purifies himself and comes to the understanding of Bhagavan. So even in this verse also, chapter 6, at the end of the dhyana process, Krishna tells that amongst all yoginam api sarvesham madgatinantara atmanaha. So he says, amongst all the yogis, the most intimately connected with me and the highest of all is he who is always remembering me, and I am always in him in this way. So he is talking about the bhakta, the bhakti yogi. So we have understood all these points. So in this way, he concludes the chapters 1 to 6. He concludes the jnana path. And then he has given a clear indication to Arjuna what you should look. And here he has already mentioned also the Bhagavan, he has mentioned the Brahman, the Paramatma, and the Bhagavan realizations. So Krishna has given the compass, and he has told Arjuna where north is. North is where Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan are. And he has told that the highest is Bhagavan. And on top of that, he has told which direction one should go. So he has identified both paths, and he has made a clear trail for the Bhakti path in all of this. So we want to go on our journey to cross over this material ocean and go back to God. So we now understand that there is a goal. So chapters 1 to 6 clearly define this very nicely. So then, if you want to go for a journey, we need a boat. We need a ship to convey us, a stable thing for us to bring us through this ocean. So having given this information about the direction, about the objective, about the method, so now Krishna will describe in detail the bhakti path. So in this bhakti path, he will talk about the ultimate goal, and he will give some practical hints of what one should do. And in this way, he's telling us how to attain him. So this is like the boat. He's building the boat for us. So chapters 7 to 12 are like that. And Krishna will elaborate. And we also heard in our Gita Gyan how we can understand that this Bhagavad Gita is like a treasure chest, right? Chapters 1 to 6 is like the box, it's like the base of the treasure. We need to contain the treasure. So that's very important. So, but the treasure itself is more important than the box. So, and this treasure is this chapter 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, where he talks about the ultimate achievement, the ultimate path and the ultimate goal. He talks about from 7 to 12. So Bhakti and Bhagavan realization is the last word in transcendence. So up to chapter 6, we already understood that Bhakti and Bhagavan is realization. Bhakti is the process. Bhagavan realization is the last word in spiritual understanding. And from here, he will explain chapters one by one. So in chapter 7, this is called Jnana Vijnana Yoga. So remember, chapter 4 was Jnana, but chapter 7 is superior to Jnana. It is the realized knowledge. It is the goal of knowledge. So Krishna first directly talks about chapter 7. What are the words he says? He says, I shall now declare unto you in full this knowledge. So there's nothing left already to understand. He says, both phenomenal and numinous, this being known, nothing further shall remain for you to know. So he's now revealing the ultimate concept, the ultimate goal. So all this while, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 is just step by step, A, B, C, D. We are learning step by step, like primary school, secondary school, university, so that we can understand finally the highest knowledge. So once we know about this jnana, and he also says that not everybody can come to this part. So that's why 2 parts are given. Among so many people who are interested in fruitive activities, right? Very few will be interested in yoga to go beyond this cycle of birth and death. And out of this very few, right, there are 2 parts, the bhakti path and the jnana path. Very few will actually take up the bhakti path. So because the bhakti path requires surrender, so this is very difficult for the jiva to do, because the very reason that he came to this material world is because he never surrendered in the first place. So now to surrender, it's quite difficult to overcome his ego. So therefore, for the sake of purification and understanding, the jnana path is given for people who want to transcend, who want to come out, but they cannot accept Krishna as the supreme, or they cannot surrender to this concept of the Supreme Lord. So therefore, Krishna tricks them. He gives them, okay, never mind, you don't have to accept me. You just accept Brahman, my effulgence, my light. You don't have to understand who I am. So in this way, you can understand that there is something beyond. And as they get purified, then they get to understand that the Supreme Lord is a person. And because they're already purified, it becomes easier for them to surrender at that point very quickly. So we gave many examples of such people like that, the Sanat Kumaras, and then also Sukadev Goswami was another example, who was already in Brahman. And then we talked about Vishwamitra, how Vishwamitra also already achieved Brahman, and he also achieved Paramatma. But still, when he saw Lord Ramachandra, he was able to surrender until the Supreme Lord. So then after that, when in chapter 7, Krishna clearly defines the supreme goal very nicely. right? Because in these chapters here, in chapter 4, he only hinted. Chapter 5, he hinted. Chapter 6, he hinted. But here, full blown, he no holds barred. He unleashes everything and tells everything very clearly. Starts with chapter 7. After that, having been convinced, Arjuna wants to know how to attain this supreme. So chapter 8, Krishna begins to outline very clearly. Remember, we were talking about building the boat. So therefore, clearly this understanding of how to attain the supreme goal of that Bhagavan. So this is where we talked about how death is the key. When we die, it's very important because whatever we think when we die, that we attain, adjusted by our karma and our desire. It's based on our desire. Our destination is based on our desire, and it is adjusted by karma. So that we heard in chapter 8. So being that as the key, how to remember the Supreme Lord? Only by remembering the Supreme Lord, we can go back to the spiritual world. So therefore, he outlines clearly what are the goals, what are the things one should do. So that he talks about in chapter 9. So in chapter 9, he reveals the most intimate and secret knowledge. So it's called Raja Vidya. Raja Vidya means the secret, the king of secrets, the king of knowledge. Raja Vidya, Raja Guyam, right? That was the verse in chapter 9. So who can attain Bhagavan? Who are the types of people who can attain Bhagavan? So therefore, only the Bhakta, the devotee of Krishna or the devotee of the Supreme Lord, he can attain the Bhagavan realization. So whereas the ones who are envious, the ones who cannot accept the Supreme Lord, even if he is a transcendentalist, they can only go as far as Brahman, and then they can go as far as Paramatma. And if they are very envious, they cannot even go to Paramatma. They can only go attain a little bit of Brahman. After attaining Brahman, then by some mercy they get the blessings of the Lord, just like the Sanat Kumaras, or by the blessings of the devotees. Then they may go even higher to Dhyana. And then they realize from their own realization, they don't want to accept other people, they don't want to accept scripture. From their own realization, they will realize, oh, okay, actually, Bhagavan is the supreme. That is the ultimate form behind this. So then they will come to bhakti. So then Krishna says, but the devotee, even though he's not liberated, right from the beginning, if he has faith, very easily I can bring him to the ultimate abode. So Krishna says, right, in chapters 10, he says, such a person, I easily, very swiftly, I deliver them from this ocean of material misery. He promises that in the verses. So chapter 9 to 10, basically is about trying to understand Bhagavan Krishna and ways to remember him. So this is the bridge between 9 and 10. Chapter 9, we know, right, who all can attain the Supreme Lord. And then he gives details about remembering the Supreme Lord. He talks about Patram Pushpam Phalam Toyam, how by simply serving him, by offering him food, by giving him things with love. So basically we are trying to develop a relationship with the Supreme Lord. So these things are discussed in chapter 9. And then while we are doing this, remembering our goal is to always remember the Supreme Lord, because death is the final exam. So to remember the Supreme Lord even during life, and not to just wait until death, because what one does in life, one will remember at death. So therefore, Vibhuti Yoga. So to help Arjuna remember the Supreme Lord, he tries to reveal more about his glories. So Krishna says, I am everything. There are so many things in me. Just like the entire planetary systems are all resting on me. So therefore, then Krishna says, amongst the beasts, I am the lion. Amongst all things which are bright, I am the sun and I am the moon. Amongst alphabets, I am the letter A. I am the taste of water. So like that, he starts telling different things about him. Amongst immovable things, I am the Himalayas, right? So like that, he gives all these different comparisons, so that whenever Arjuna sees the material world and the material creation, he will always remember Krishna. So simply by looking at everything, we can train ourselves to remember the Supreme Lord. So that is chapter 10, Vibhuti Yoga, ways to remember him. And then Arjuna was already convinced. So simply at chapter 7, when Krishna reveals his supreme position, he is already convinced. And then Krishna tells how to attain him in chapter 8. And then he goes more into detail in chapter 9. So he was, by this time, Arjuna was already fully convinced. So he's just simply asking, how can I serve you more? How can I remember you better? So therefore, in chapter 10, he talks about the Vibhuti Yoga. And then Arjuna also is worried about the other people who do not have faith. So therefore, and he's also worried in Kali Yuga, there will be lots of people who will claim all kinds of things, and they sometimes will claim they are God. So how to differentiate what is the definition of God? So, and therefore Arjuna will ask, you have told me, I have heard, but now can you show me? So for the benefit of everyone, and Krishna will now reveal his Vishwarupa Darshan Yoga. He will show these people how everything in this material creation, the sun, the moon, time, the planets, the devatas, all of them rest within himself. So this is a very unique form, and this is called the Vishwarupa form or the Virat Rupa form, which is a material form of the Supreme Lord. So in this way, Arjuna was able to see, Sanjaya was also able to see. And then after this, so there's no more doubts. There's clear understanding from Krishna himself revealing it. And at the same time, the vision is there for everybody who's doubting. So then finally, Krishna in chapter 12 culminates this entire discussion of bhakti. And he talks about, the title itself is called Bhakti Yoga. He tells Arjuna, therefore Arjuna, he clearly tells Arjuna, the bhakti path is much better than the jnana path. And then he tells Arjuna, remember me. That is the goal of life. The goal of life is to remember Krishna. How do we remember Krishna? By his names, Nama, Rupa, Guna, Leela. So by chanting his names, by hearing his pastimes, his Leela, by hearing about his transcendental form, his beauty, his features, and his various interactions with his devotees. So Nama, Guna is qualities. So understanding the qualities of the Supreme Lord. Nama, Guna, Rupa, his beautiful form. And Nama, Guna, Rupa, and Leela, his pastimes. So devotees are always talking to each other. You know, there's this verse that comes in chapter 10. Tusyanticha Ramanticha, always remembering the Supreme Lord and discussing Katayantascha Mam Nityam Tusyanticha Ramanticha. Always talking about Krishna, always hearing about Krishna. So how do we talk about Krishna? How do we hear about Krishna? So that is revealed in the Srimad Bhagavatam. So many pastimes, all about his guna, his rupa, his qualities, his activities, his pastimes, fully described in the Srimad Bhagavatam. So by reading the Srimad Bhagavatam and by hearing this amongst devotees, they always remember the Supreme Lord and they take great pleasure in doing this. And this path of bhakti is joyfully performed. It's not like the jnana path where it's so difficult. It's joyfully performed. One simply chants, one simply eats prasadam, one simply hears about Krishna and speaks about Krishna. And in this way, one can perfect his life and can always remember Krishna. So this is the path of bhakti. Krishna is recommending to everybody, especially to people in Kali Yuga. So then there is the chapters 7 to 12, which is the treasure of the Bhagavad Gita is covered. So then what is the connection between the next set? So therefore the connection is with bhakti, having understood the goal, we've got the compass, right? And we've got the ship also. The means and the goal is already clear. So with bhakti, jnana and vairagya automatically comes. So once we develop this bhakti by the bhakti process, simply by chanting, hearing, speaking about him and remembering the Supreme Lord, What Krishna will do, remember the Chatur Slokis in the chapter 10, right? Jnana Deepena Bhashvataha. So within the heart, remember the Deepavali verse? Within our heart, Krishna will use the light of knowledge and destroy the darkness of ignorance. So automatically, jnana will come because we are hearing. We are hearing about the confidential things about the Supreme Lord. So jnana will automatically come. Why it comes also? Because even to understand these things, one needs qualification sometimes. Because our impure mind, our impurities in our heart will sometimes block us from understanding higher things. So therefore, purification process is necessary. By chanting and by hearing, we are purifying ourselves. And while we are purifying ourselves, more and more knowledge is revealed. And at the same time, more and more detachment also comes, vairagya. Vairagya means we start to lose interest in materialistic things automatically, simply by performing bhakti. We don't have to artificially force ourselves like the jnana yogis. We don't have to sit and control our prana. It's not necessary. Simply by performing bhakti within the heart, because Krishna is Paramatma in all our hearts. So he is listening to us, looking at him, and he gives all assistance. So just like the bhakti lift. So therefore, naturally we start to lose interest in materialistic activities. Naturally we start to gain interest in spiritual activities. So it comes naturally. We want to hear more and more. We are not so interested in other things already. So in this way, we develop detachment. So detachment and knowledge are said to be the children of bhakti. Bhakti is the mother, and bhakti is the mother, and the mother can show us where is our father. And the children of bhakti are jnana and vairagya. So by performing bhakti, we get jnana and we get vairagya automatically. So therefore now Krishna goes on to, once we understood that bhakti is the ultimate, and Krishna and Arjuna understands and accepts this point, now Krishna reveals more and more knowledge. And in this way, we can try to navigate the direction. So the chapters 13 to 18. So initially, when we are going for an exploration, everything is dark. We don't know the direction. So we have got the compass from chapters 1 to 6, how to go and where to go, right? And then from 7 to 12, Krishna builds the boat for us. This is the boat of bhakti. We know the direction, we know the goal. So now we just have to travel. And while we are traveling, many wondrous sights are revealed as we travel across the galaxy, as we travel across the universe. Many beautiful sights are revealed, right? And lots of different knowledge, how the universe works, how the prakriti transforms itself, how the soul comes and combines within prakriti, and how it gets enmeshed and trapped within the materialistic, within the three modes of nature, and how it gets trapped within its karma. So all these details are revealed. These are details which are chapters 13 to 18. So Prakriti and its transformation, and Krishna as the source. So each of this chapter, it will always put at the end Krishna as the ultimate point, as the ultimate source. While describing each aspect, he will always connect back to the Supreme Source. So we heard about Prakriti and its transformation, the energies of the Lord, the material energy, which is the shadow of the spiritual energy, how it got transformed. And we briefly heard about this. We can discuss this in more detail in level 2. And then after Prakriti is transformed, the Jiva enters into Prakriti, and how the Jiva gets trapped within Prakriti, the three ropes, right? Sattva Guna, Raja Guna, Tama Guna. So therefore, chapter 14 is Gunatraya Vibhaga Yoga, the differences within the three modes of nature. So we have already heard about the Kshetra. Kshetra is the field. Kshetranya, the knower of the field. That means we are the soul, right? And then we also heard about Jnana. What is knowledge? To understand the difference between matter and spirit. And what is the goal of knowledge? Jnana, which is Krishna. So we heard about these things, right? And then we heard about how we get trapped in Prakriti, the three ropes. And then we also heard about how this three modes trap us within this world, and how we form how we get enmeshed with karma. So we are trapped by the three modes and nourished by the three modes. Here we talked about the banyan tree, the upside down banyan tree. How karma is very complex. It has no beginning and has no end, and it's basically nourished by the three modes. So if we can, and in this way, we are trapped within the multiple roots and branches of this banyan tree, and we are trying to enjoy the various fruits of it. So the fruits are within this banyan tree. So, and how to escape from this banyan tree? The only way to escape is to come out of these three modes, because this banyan tree is nourished by the three modes. So if we can transcend the three modes, then we can come out of this karma. The karma will be destroyed. And the tool for us to destroy it is detachment and knowledge. So with knowledge and detachment, we can cut down this tree of karma, and we can try to transcend these three modes of material nature. So the bhakti process will automatically bring us through all these things. So it's like this, it's like a ship. The ship is going through the different parts of the galaxy, and then sometimes there's the meteorite storm, but these are like the three modes, karma. So, but bhakti will sail us through all of these things easily, not a problem. It will not affect us. And then, having described prakriti, having described the three modes of nature, having described karma and its permutations, and the source of the jiva, Krishna reveals that he is the source, he is the seed-giving father. So now Krishna tells in chapter 16 how these souls, being caught up in karma, trapped within the three modes, are basically divided into two types: the demonic tendency and the Daiva Ashura, right? The divine and the demonic. So Daiva Ashura Sampat Vibhaga Yoga. So the conditioned souls are behaving in these two ways. The two tendencies are playing in our mind. So this is called conditioned soul. We are conditioned by the three modes of nature within Prakriti. So we heard about the nature of the asuras. We heard about the nature of the divine. The qualities were outlined. So we know for sure what are these qualities, right? And where these qualities will lead us. So Ashuric qualities will lead us to lower life form and to hellish planets, whereas divine qualities will lead us to higher planetary systems for enjoyment. And it also gives us the platform, so that we can, from that platform of divine quality, we can from there try to come out of these three modes. So then Krishna says how the souls are conditioned in the three gunas. He goes in more detail about the three gunas. So we already heard about the divine and the demoniac. Now each of these qualities, divine qualities has a set of quality, demoniac quality also has a set of qualities. Now in each of these, there are still the three modes acting in every quality also. For example, in charity, in austerity. So all of these, there are three modes. So Krishna will talk about these three modes in chapter 17, and he will continue further into chapter 18. Because Arjuna will ask this question, yes, I understand the three modes, okay, but what about faith? Faith is supposed to be a quality of divine quality. So how do we understand, does faith also have three modes within it? Then Krishna will say, yes, faith also has three modes. Even though it's a divine quality, it has three modes in it. So we heard about the three types of modes in faith. We heard about action. We heard about knowledge, jnana, three modes in knowledge, three modes in charity, three modes in determination, three modes in the, what do you call it, the goal, fixing our goal. So in this way, all the three modes are discussed. And Krishna says, you need to come to the mode of goodness, Arjuna, because in the mode of passion, gives you fruits. You may think that this is fine, but the problem with the mode of passion is it leads to misery. the result is only misery. It gives you fruits, but at the same time, it gives you attachment. And nothing is permanent in this world. So in the end, it leads to misery. And there's another problem with the mode of passion. The other problem is the mode of passion leads one to the mode of ignorance eventually. It always leads to that. A lot of lust, a lot of desire eventually will lead to anger, right? People who are in this mode will eventually come to anger. They have too much attachment, too much desire, they will come to anger. So and when anger comes, finish. Then they will release nuclear bombs. They will throw extremely harmful words to people, and then they don't realize what they are saying, what they are doing, and then after that, it's too late. So mode of ignorance. So this is what Krishna explains in chapter 18. And then finally he says, go beyond these three modes and try to attain liberation and try to attain freedom from this cycle of birth and death. So he tells Arjuna, so therefore go for renunciation. And the true renunciation is one who does not renounce charity, austerity, all these things. One will do it for the sake of duty, but keeping the Supreme Lord in his perspective. So one will say Om Tat Sat, and in this way, do everything for the pleasure of the Lord. One will not give up his activities. At the same time, one follows bhakti. So one thinks of the Lord always, one cultivates his bhakti by the various processes of bhakti, the 9 processes of bhakti, Shravanam, Kirtanam, Smaranam, Padasevanam, and all that. And at the same time, one performs his duties, especially the duties of charity, the duties of austerity, the duties of cultivating knowledge, all these things they do. But everything comes with the goal of connecting it to the Supreme Lord for the pleasure of the Lord. So this is the idea behind. So this is Moksha Sannyasa Yoga. And ultimately, Krishna summarizes in chapter 18. His summary is, there are 3 goals of life. The goal is to ultimately attain God. But God can be understood in 3 ways: Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan. Paramatma is higher, Bhagavan is the topmost. And Bhagavan can only be understood by the devotees. It's exclusively given for the devotees only. So therefore, only the bhakti path can understand Bhagavan realization. And Krishna, after that, reveals again that I am that Bhagavan realization. This is my form of that Bhagavan realization. And then he says, surrender to Krishna is the param dharma. So give up everything else. If you think that human life is meant to be an accountant or a doctor or a lawyer or an engineer or a businessman or a father or a mother or a charitable person and all that, that is all external, that is all material. That is not the ultimate goal of life. One should keep the ultimate goal of life as Krishna, as the param dharma. To attain Krishna, to serve Krishna, that is our param dharma. Everything else is simply supplementary and a means to the end. And it should not come in the way of attaining the param dharma of the Supreme Lord. So this is the ultimate goal of life, the purpose of human existence. Because only in human existence we can understand this. So then Krishna asks Arjuna, have you heard carefully? So he indicates how we should study this Bhagavad Gita. We should study it very carefully and we should hear it carefully so that we can clearly understand its purports. And then he asks, have you deliberated on this fully? So Krishna will ask Arjuna, hear carefully whatever that I'm telling, think about it carefully, deliberate it. So this is also the purpose of human life. You know, a lot of people in life go through life without thinking much about these questions. Who am I? What is my purpose? What do I do? Why am I suffering? Nobody thinks about these things much. They just take it as a part and parcel of life. So there is a reason behind all these things. Why is it happiness and distress comes? We all look for happiness. Nobody looks for distress, but distress comes even if you don't look for it, right? So why is this so? So why so much of things are happening? So therefore, we have to hear carefully. We have to think about these things carefully. One who thinks about these things carefully, that person only, the Shastras say, is actually living as a human being? One should ask these questions. Otherwise, their birth is as a human being is wasted. Because everything else, artha, kama, moksha, and all that can be, if you are talking about eating, mating, sleeping, defending, that is done in the animal life also. And then Krishna, after hearing carefully, after thinking about it carefully, see the final thing Krishna says to Arjuna, now you do as you please. So this is the beauty of the Supreme Lord. For the sake of preserving love within the jivas who are his eternal children, he does not force. He will give the freedom for the child. He will give the freedom for he will give all the benefits. He will give all the instructions, all the advice. Everything is given. But ultimately, the jiva retains his independence. He does not, he is not forced into servitude. He is not forced into service of the Supreme Lord. Even though the jiva is created for that purpose, Jivera Swarupahoy Krishnera Nityadas, he is never forced into it. So he is given his opportunity to enjoy and everything. But ultimately, when the jiva begins to understand that this is this is the best thing for me. In this way, I get the best enjoyment, the best bliss, the best development. By serving that supreme personality of Godhead, who is that Purushottama, who is that perfect person, who never disappoints, who is a reservoir of all pleasure. You know, Krishna means all attractive. Rama means all blissful. So he is the reservoir of all bliss, Ananda. He is the all attractive. So that is ultimate enjoyment, ultimate attractiveness, and that is eternal. It is going on forever. It never stops. So why would we want to let go this eternal, everlasting, ever increasing Ananda just for temporary materialistic pleasure within this world? So therefore, Prabhupada tells his disciples, he says, so many lifetimes you have given yourself for sense gratification. So many lifetimes we have gone through different types of birth simply to enjoy our desires. Then Prabhupada says, this one lifetime, can you give it to Krishna? And you will never lose. You will not be the loser. If we can give this one lifetime to Krishna, we will not lose, and we will instead gain the greatest thing in our life. So I hope with that, we can all take up this bhakti process seriously. And Prabhupada says, in this life itself, we can go back to the Supreme Lord. Not a problem. The bhakti process is very powerful. It's capable of destroying mountains and thousands and millions of karma from previous lifetime. And it can purify our intelligence and purify our mind so that we will not sin again. We will not have even these desires also. These desires, by the mercy of the Lord, will disappear simply by the performance of bhakti, so that we will not be trapped again in the future. And in this way, we will definitely remember the Supreme Lord in the end of our life. So the conclusion, ultimately, then Krishna, after that, he says, have you heard? Have you deliberated? Now do as you please. But at the same time, Krishna also tells Arjuna, give this knowledge to others. If you accept whatever I have said, give this knowledge to others. So we should hear, we should live, we should hear this knowledge, we should practice this in our life, and we should give this knowledge to others also. So all of these people who do all these three activities are benefited. They become very dear. They become very, very dear to Krishna. Priyam. Krishna says to Arjuna, such people who hear Gita, who live Gita, and who give Gita, they become very dear to the Supreme Lord. So finally, after Krishna completes his Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna has also accepted, and he says, no, Arjuna, I will follow what you say. So, no, Krishna, I will follow what you say only. I have accepted. My illusion is gone. I am now completely free, and I accept you as a Supreme Lord. I accept bhakti as a supreme process. I will do whatever you tell me. So please tell me what I should do. So if you want me to fight, okay, I'm ready now. I'm fixed with my determination. So then Sanjaya concludes this. In the end, he says, Srir Vijayo Bhuter Dhruva Nitir. He says that wherever there is Krishna, wherever there is Arjuna, wherever there is Krishna, Yatra Yogeshwara Krishna, wherever there's the supreme mystic or the supreme lord of all mysticism, Krishna, wherever there's the supreme archer, Arjuna, there will certainly be Srir. Srir means opulence, great opulence. Shri is also the name of Lakshmi, right? Vijayo, victory. Bhutir Dhruva Nitir. So certainly there will be victory, there will be opulence, and there will also be extraordinary morality. So dharma, in other words. So these things will be there certainly for anywhere where Krishna and Arjuna are there, or wherever this Bhagavad Gita is heard and followed and given to others. So with that, we'd like to end this discussion that we have talked about here. So this concludes the basically it's like a bird's eye view of the entire chapters of the Bhagavad Gita. So before we open for questions, I'd just like to quickly go through some seva opportunities. So some of you have asked about how they can contribute or how they can do more for the society, or for how they can also be part of things. So one of the things here I'm mentioning here, this is Shastra Dana. Shastra Dan means we have this program where we give Bhagavad Gita and we give Srimad Bhagavatam to people. So of course we sell them, but at the same time there are those who are not able to afford them, and those we cultivate like people, some students in the Gita Gyan also. If some of them they cannot afford these scriptures, so we are able to give them. You can either follow this and you can give it to them. So there's Srimad Bhagavad Gita and there's Bhagavatam. So we do give this in schools, like many Tamil schools we have given, but there are still many more to be given. Libraries, orphanages, to the needy community. So how it works is, if you buy one Gita is 35 ringgit. Anything less than 10, you can buy more. If you like to donate 10 Gitas to be distributed to these people, or you can take it for yourself also. So then the price is 35 ringgit per Gita. If you give more, 10 to 20 Gitas, then it becomes 30 per Gita. And if you give more than 20, then the price becomes 20 ringgit per Gita. So that means a minimum of 400 ringgit, you would be able to give at least 20 Gitas to people, or you can even buy yourself and keep it for yourself and give it to your friends and your family and your relatives, or wedding gift or whatever, housewarming gift, these kind of things. That's Gita. And then there is also Bhagavatam. So Srimad Bhagavatam, the price is 1,200 ringgit. You can sponsor this, and it will be given to the needy people, the library and all that. So this kind of programs are going on. So either you can do it for yourself or you can do it for others. So let me know if you'd like to do any of these things. The other thing is Seva opportunity. This is Go Seva. We have a farm two farms, one in Lanchang, one in Jandabai. So what we do in the farms is we take care of cows. So, Go Seva. So these are happy cows. So these cows are not slaughtered. They are grown, then the milk is taken, right? And these are happy cows, and they freely roam the grass. And after they grow old also, we take care of them. They are kept there, and worship is done. Some kind of industry is going on there, like they collect cow dung and they make some cow dung patty, and some things are going on like that. Otherwise, you can also come there. There's a bungalow there in this place, and you can sometimes people come in buses. School children, they come there for Pongal, for example. They have Pongal celebration here. I can see a picture of Pongal celebration, and you can also feed the cows. And you could also just you could stay there for a few days if you like. So this is called the new Godruma scheme. So if you're supporting us in this, here is a pledge. It's a 3-year pledge where you pay 1,200 ringgit a year, and that means 3,600 ringgit in total over a period of 3 years. So the money from this will go towards cow protection, to maintain the cow and to maintain the farm. And as a gift, if you take the scheme, you will receive in the first year, the moment you take this pledge, you will get a free set of Bhagavatam. Now the Bhagavatam itself is 1,200 ringgit. So here, just by simply paying 1,200 a year to support the cows, you will get a free set of the Bhagavatam. And then in your second year, you will get the Srila Prabhupada Leelamrita. Srila Prabhupada Leelamrita is a set of books. It's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 books about Prabhupada's autobiography and how ISKCON was set up and what he went through and everything. All of this is captured here, very beautifully written. It's like a storybook, so it's very, very captivating. You can't put it down. Very interesting. All the different pastimes of all the devotees, how the different temples were set up, all the drama that went through, what Prabhupada had to go through, his early life up to his passing. And then in the third year, you will get a set of Chaitanya Charitamrita. This is another scripture about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his teachings. So that is also something you will get in your third year. And also inclusive of this, you will get a once a year feeding of all cows. So in your name or in the name of your choice and in the date of your choice, all the cows here are fed. And the benefit of that will go, the Shastras say that one of the highest charity to do is to give a cow in donation, or to feed cows, or to take care of cows. The Supreme Lord, he sets the example. Krishna is very fond of cows, right? And there's a reason behind that. We will talk about that later in level 2. So that's one thing. And it also is inclusive of Go Puja. Go Puja means it's like sometimes people, they have people who have departed, who have passed away, and during their Tithi, they want to do Go Puja ceremony. It's also one of the things recommended in scripture. So this also will be done once a year in the name and date of your choice. It's all part of this scheme. So that is just something. So I would think this is a good way to quickly get these books very easily. While getting these books, you are also supporting the cow protection. And on top of that, you get a complimentary one-night stay per year at the bungalow at New Godruma Farm in Lanchang. So it's very nice. It's a hilly. It's like it's like a bit cooling, the weather, because it's on top of a hill and very green, and it's a bit far away from everything. Okay, so that's it. So these are the things I wanted to mention to you. Later, I also wanted to talk about the dates, what day we want to set for the level 2. But before we go to that, any questions you have on the Bhagavad Gita, whatever that we have discussed? Some of you may have had some questions also.
Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhuji.
What level have you been?
Pardon?
What level have you gone in this journey?
Oh, this is level 1.
No. What level you personally have gone in this journey?
Oh, we don't have that kind of level. When I joined, we didn't have levels like this. Okay. Oh, you want to know my experience? Okay, so basically, well, I would say, well, I was a believer of science. I'm basically my profession also is like more of a scientist type of profession. I'm currently an associate professor in mechanical engineering. So, and I was studying these things. So I believed in science very much, and I was brought up a Hindu, but still, these things really didn't make me believe so much. So when I was studying in the university, there was this person from ISKCON, a brahmachari, very wonderful person. He gave classes over there. I came and then I heard, then lots of questions. It was very interesting. I think I was only 20 plus 20 lah, around that time. It was my second year of the university. So, and then that changed my life, because like how we are talking now, he was also talking, and he answered all my questions. I wanted to believe in God, but it's because nobody could understand, nobody could explain to me in a way which I could accept. I had many, for everything people would say, I would have many things to argue about. So it was not something which convinced me. But I wanted to believe. But and this person bridged that gap. So it was very, he's no longer around, he passed away. So anyway, he bridged that gap. He took the time to really explain these things to me. And I read these books, Teachings of Lord Chaitanya. It's a very nice book. And then like that, I got convinced. And at the same time, by fortune, by Krishna's blessings, I also got married to a person who's also in Krishna consciousness since she was a very young person. So the whole family was able to follow this Krishna consciousness. And within 2 years of my marriage, I married when I was right after graduation. I did my master's. Then I married. Right after master's, I got the job. And then we decided to get initiation. So initiation is like the process of taking a guru. So I accepted a guru, His Holiness Bhakti Vigna Vinasha Narasimha Maharaj, who is a disciple of Srila Prabhupada. And basically that makes a very big difference. It's like connecting to the ISKCON society. And ever since then, we've been going. Then later on, we get to hear a lot of things. When before COVID and all, every Sunday we will go. There will be lots of opportunities for association. There will be sannyasis who will be traveling all over the world. They'll come, and then we will hear from them. And then there are also many holy places in India where we can go. Then they organize yatras, programs. So like this, you get to hear from so many people. You get to hear so many things, so many wonderful literatures are there, different pastimes of the Lord. And it's very enriching, very enlivening, and it gives meaning to our life. And in this way, it's just going on. I'm thinking how to. The problem is life is so busy, so difficult. And in this way, we can understand, and we can bring up our children also very nicely. We can try to give all this information. I never had these things when I was young. If we can give this to our children, and we can engage them. So our society, we try to engage every level of generation. So we have children's class, children as young as 7 years old. They can even for 5 years old, I think they have. So currently it's going online. Previously it used to be in the temple. So 7 to 12, there is something going on weekly. And there are many other things also going on. And for youths also we have. And like that, we engage ourselves. So there are many services. Preaching is one thing. Teaching people is another thing. And then doing deity worship, service in the temple, cooking, lots of things. If you have any kind of desires, any kind of skills, activities, management, you can be part of the temple. It's very nice. But ISKCON society is not perfect. It has its politics. It has its problems. But this is like the material world. It's like everything is mud. But the thing that holds us together is Prabhupada's teachings, his books, the spirit of Srila Prabhupada, the many pure devotees who are within this movement, who gives us our enthusiasm, and Bhagavad Gita and Krishna's teaching. So in this way, we hold fast to that objective of Srila Prabhupada's books, and we hold on to that, and we try to do what we can. Anyway, that's a very brief explanation, and I hope that all of you can also be part of this in whichever way that you can. And we would like to share this wonderful world of Krishna consciousness with all of you. So that's the purpose of this Gita Gyan, to give you all this, an alternative to many of you may probably also have these things already, but it's very nice to try to live Gita, to learn Gita, live Gita, and give Gita to others. Anyway, enough about myself.
Well, that's a good synopsis of your biography. Very interesting, because a lot of people might follow you in in following Gita, actually. I feel.
Yeah. So
Thank you, Dato.
it's nice to know that, because we want to tell people that we don't have to. There are different types of people who take up Bhagavad Gita. There are different types of people who become devotees. We have people from all walks of life. So, from the very, very rich to the very, very poor, to the educated, to the not educated, everybody can follow this, because there are different languages we give these things to, and it doesn't matter, because bhakti transcends all these things. And we have so many examples of people who have left their body in such wonderful circumstances. Recently also, we had one very great devotee, one very nice pujari in India who passed away. And like that, there are many sannyasis also. They show the example to us that whatever Prabhupada says, that whatever Krishna says is practical. We can do it. It's practically done. So, I'm married. I have children, 2 children. One is 16, or one is 15, the elder, the boy. And then my younger child is, she's a girl, 10 years old. So even as grihasthas, as householders, we can practice this. It's very simple. All we have to do is simply chant Hare Krishna and try to follow Bhagavad Gita teachings, eat prasadam at home, offer whatever we cook for the Lord and give it to him, and associate with devotees, and in this way hear more and more about Krishna. We hear more and more about spiritual life, and it's very beautiful. It gives, really, in different situations, it gives us meaning to our life. Anyway, this is my realization. I'm sure many of you all have your own realization. You are all much older than me, probably. I'm 44. So some of you are older, some of you are elder to me, some of you know better. Probably you're like yourself, Prabhu, Dato, you definitely know much more. And you're simply giving me the opportunity to speak here. You're being very kind to hear. So in this way,
Some
everybody.
people can follow certain things. People can follow. I've spoken to a couple of people. People who are 65 and above. They want to actually, join this some movement where they can get spirituality. Actually, they didn't say ISKCON alone, but I said to you, I'll tell my Prabhu that if you are organizing some other classes, they can come and join you all.
Okay, sure. Thank you. Devaki Mataji, you had some questions. Are you here? Devaki Mataji, I think she couldn't make it today. Anybody else? Any questions they had?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. I'm Revati Mataji.
Yes, Mataji.
Okay, I'm also involved. I'm a vegetarian for more than 20 years. I'm with the Hare Krishna consciousness. That is to my sister that I got this beautiful spiritual path. She used to attend Jagannath Mandir. One of the I'm just a little bit how I joined Hare Krishna.
Yes, please share, Mataji.
So she was in. She actually there was one Prabhu who came to. I was studying in Methodist Girls School. At that time, some of the Prabhus came and lectured on. I mean, they give who are you? Think about soul, and that's when she got so attracted. But I didn't attend the class, but she attended because it was after school. And after that, later when she was working, somehow through some connections, someone took her to Jagannath Mandir, and that's when she used to go for Mangalati at 4 o'clock. She goes we are staying actually in Klang, and she travels. She take a few devotees with her, and then she goes there, and she was so happy. And that's when I was. She started preaching to me. That time I was already married. I have 2 kids, so I started joining Hare Krishna in Klang Center, and I have 2 girls who are also in the Krishna consciousness. So we do the normal.
Hold on, Mataji. I'm just thinking, if it's possible, can you all just enable your video so we can all see everybody, if it's possible? Yeah, continue, Mataji.
So that's one, Prabhu. Then we started to do service in the temple learn how to do sweets, how to tie garland, a lot of things that we learned from this. I learned a lot. I learned a lot. And that is when I really appreciate what Srila Prabhupada has given us all those things that ignorant people like us, who didn't know. Because my parents also didn't know how to say, like you, what you went through, the same thing, that whenever we asked question, we were not enlightened with the correct answers that we wanted. But we were still just keep on praying, have faith in God. And that's when we got this Krishna consciousness in our life. And I'm so blessed and so happy.
Thank you, Mataji, for that sharing. Very nice to hear.
Yeah. Thank you, Prabhu, for giving.
Okay, don't worry, we will have many more. So even if it's not formally like a course like this. Hello, Dato. How are you? Hello, Gauri Mataji, Kumar Prabhu. So I'm seeing all of you first time. So this
Hello,
is
Prabhu. Good to see you.
So it's difficult to see each other now, because of this snow. And we should do it face to face, then it's nicer. Hare Krishna, Kamaleshwari Mataji. Yes.
We should do after our whole series of our life over.
Yes. So we can go on and on. So there are many things to speak about. Actually, Srimad Bhagavatam got 18 books. So there are so many stories, pastimes about Vamanadev, Varahadev, Narsingadev, Balaram, how Krishna's pastimes itself, 4 books. So it's like from the moment he appeared on this earth until all the way he left, and then Ramachandra's pastimes are there. So many wonderful, and how the creation was, how the world was created, how the universe was created, how Brahma came into being. All these things are discussed, and it's very interesting. So in the future, we will go through. Right now, we can talk about some basics first. In level 2, we will speak more detail about certain concepts like karma, the law of karma. We will speak more about what else? Like the Varnashram Dharma, the 4 branches of human society and things like that. We need to understand these things so that when we speak Bhagavatam, it becomes easy for us to accept many things, easier for us to, at that time, we will also go through this also from Bhagavatam. But let's go through this level 2 first. It's about 20 weeks, I think. And after that, we can just have Bhagavatam classes weekly, or we can talk about anything also. And in this way, we can always share amongst ourselves about different things. And one day when COVID is over, we can all go for yatra. We can all go to Mayapur. We can go to India. We can go to various places. Very, very nice. And it's very nice because there'll be sannyasis there. They will be actually guiding us. They will take us to all the holy places, and we will sit down there and we will hear the pastimes. So it's very, very beautiful. So we can share with all of you. Okay.
When we first, Prabhuji, when I became a member long ago, they gave us an encyclopedia, set of encyclopedias.
That's the Bhagavatam. Yeah, that's the Srimad Bhagavatam. Life membership. It's called life membership. Yeah, last time they were selling that. Now they don't do that already. They have other schemes now. So you have it already, bro.
No, I handed it over to my family. My sister's all about Hare Rama Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Okay, all right.
Except myself so far.
Okay, I will just share my screen one more time. I want to talk about the level 2.
Sure.
Okay. So, right, from the questionnaire, I checked 21 of you have already submitted. So I think that's about all of us. So from what I see here, most people, of course, Saturdays and Sundays, people are not free. So, okay, no problem. Because Sundays also I have another class which I give. And then on Saturday also is difficult. So then the best days I see here is Monday. This is Monday. 3 of you are not able to make it on Monday, and on Wednesday, 3 of you are not able to make it. So it's between Monday and Wednesday. So we cannot have, I mean, everybody has some problems with some days. So the best we can do is Monday and Wednesday from the thing. So I'm thinking I would personally prefer Wednesday. What do you think? Is Wednesday okay with everybody?
Okay, Prabhu, shouldn't be a problem.
Yeah, Wednesday fine.
It's okay with me also.
Okay.
Wednesday is okay. Fine.
That's nice. Okay.
Wednesday is fine.
Okay, good. So we will keep it to Wednesday then. Okay, wait, let me just look at the chat box. Where is the farm? Okay, Kumar Prabhu has asked. The farm is one is in Lanchang, Pahang, both also in Pahang. One is in Lanchang, one is in Jandabaig. Jandabaig is not too far away, but that one we have a problem with the neighbors because the neighbors are all Malays and they don't like it that we keep a cow farm there, and they have. So usually we go to Lanchang. Lanchang is a bit further. It's about, I think, 1.5 hours drive. So that's the farm. Then Uma Mataji asks, Bhagavad Gita that's given to kids, the kids version, is it? Yes. We have a class for children. Currently it's going on also. And it's for 7 years old to 12 years old. So just like how we are doing now for Bhagavad Gita, Gita Gyan for adults, we have for children also. Right now it's going on. So next time when it comes again, I will let you know. And then I will put it in the group so everybody can do. The children can all take part. It's quite interactive. It's interesting. There's stories, there's games, there are activities where they will make things. There's art and craft, that kind of thing. So you might find it engaging. Okay, then there's another question. My Sanskrit reading, my Sanskrit is not that good. I tried learning it, then I gave up. I got no time. My time is just fixed. Basically, if at all I know some words in Sanskrit, it's because, as I said, I've been in this movement for some time. So 20 years already. So after reading all these things, some words stick into my mind. So that's how I understand. So it'll come to you also. You read, if you read Gita, Bhagavatam again and again, some words is already there. So, and especially if when we are preaching, when we tell people, then it comes easily. And ultimately it's by the mercy of my Guru Maharaj and Srila Prabhupada's mercy. Okay, look like there's no other questions in the chat. All right, so then if everybody is happy, if there's no other questions, we will see you all before next Wednesday. Okay, we will start next Wednesday onwards for level 2, but there's going to be a graduation ceremony online, unfortunately. They told me it's going to be Saturday. So they will send the agenda. There will be like a welcome ceremony. There will be some VIPs talking. And then after that, they will announce all the participants. And then there will be some sharing. Some of the other participants from other groups, I think they shared some video clips about their realizations and all that. So probably they may put those things. I don't know. So like that, there will be a ceremony to glorify all of you. So I'll let you know once the thing is out. So with that, thank you very much, everybody. So I'll just go. So
thank you, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you very much, Prabhu.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Have a good day.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna.